Hello and welcome to Market House, the podcast where we talk all things Disney. My name's Caleb.
And I'm Caitlin.
And this week we talk about a potential Walt Disney World expansion.
And our first impressions of Lookout Key. Let's dive in.
All right, and this is episode number 136.
Yeah, welcome back as always, everybody.
Welcome back. Another week in the books. It was a long one, in a way. It went by fast, but also a lot of stuff happened.
Yeah, especially this weekend. It flew.
Very productive week, both work-wise and personal stuff. Like, when you get caught up on like house projects, it feels really good.
Yeah.
That's what we spent a lot of the last couple weeks, honestly, doing. Mm-hmm. So catching up on that, after having a baby, time goes away. Like, you don't have much time for anything. Now we do have a little extra time when she's down for a nap or what have you. So we're catching up on some stuff we've been kind of put on the back burner. And then this weekend comes and hits us in the face as of right now. Actually, we're recording on Sunday, which is like way later than we usually do.
Mm-hmm.
So we're almost through the weekend. And it flew, number one. I like blinked and it's over.
Right.
Saturday, we went out. I had like done something to my back, I think on Friday afternoon. Didn't even know what happened, but my back started hurting. Saturday woke up. Yeah, it hurts a little more. We get back from Costco and I move a certain way and it just shoots it was painful. A shock of pain through my entire left side of my back. I almost fell on the ground. I'm like holding myself up on the wall.
Yeah,
I can't even
scary.
walk. It hurt so bad.
And we're not even being dramatic. Like it was one of those, I've never seen Caleb. He literally was just stiff, could not move. And I'm like, what do I need to do?
So after 5 minutes of just kind of sitting there squatting,
yeah,
I was able to kind of get up. I couldn't even put pressure on my left foot.
It was weird
because it hurt so bad. So I finally got over to a couch, sat down, and I felt so bad. You had to unload the entire. We bought a ton of stuff. It was
fine.
Big old Costco run, Target pickup, everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you put everything away while Maddie played. And it slowly got better through the night. I just had heat on it all night.
Mm-hmm.
Long story short, it's feeling much better today. We're 24 hours later, and it feels better. It still hurts, but I have no idea what happened.
This has happened before, just not as bad. This is the worst, definitely.
Yeah, it happened probably 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And I was out of commission for a week, and then it just so I don't know if something's going on.
I feel like a tweaked nerve or something.
I don't know. It hurts.
I'm glad you're feeling somewhat better, though.
This is what happens when you get old, I guess.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, we watched an F1 race.
Did.
We're obsessed with Drive to Survive. This is a Netflix show, documentary that follows the lives and the careers of these F1 racers. So we never really watched it before then. And then they introduced us to us Americans, and we love it now. And so finally I was like, why don't we watch these races live? We've always followed along on social media and kind of where the standings were and loosely followed online.
Yeah, and we've been watching the show for quite some time.
Yeah, the show, but not live,
Yeah.
Not actual in the season stuff. So I was like, let's just sign up and watch it. So we watched our first one today. It was the most exhilarating, fun thing ever.
It was life-changing. We're literally obsessed with F1.
Yeah, so we've got a new obsession. It's F1.
So if you want to talk about F1, please let me know.
But let's move on to the Disney stuff. Let's get into that news. But before we do, head over to Patreon, markethousepodcast.com/support to check that out. We've got another episode coming out this week about Genie Plus and our experience about that. So head over there if you want some exclusive content. It is a great way to support the show. Thank you to everyone who supports us over there. Please consider leaving a review on Apple Podcast or Spotify. It is a huge, huge help to the show. You can leave a 5-star rating on both platforms and a written review over on Apple. Also, share it with a friend. If you've got a friend that loves Disney, or you'd like them to start listening, or you want them to go on a trip with you, send this episode over to them, and hopefully they'll join you for a trip. All right, let's dive in. All right, and our one and only news story is Walt Disney World is getting a $17 billion investment. So now that the Florida versus Disney drama has died down, the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District, that is a mouthful, has released plans for a potentially, and keyword potentially, massive Walt Disney World expansion. So Disney has earmarked $17 billion for this park expansion. As of now, the only things guaranteed are the Beyond Frontierland project, Animal Kingdom retheme, which is that Dino Land rehaul or overhaul, and an unnamed new hotel. Those are the only three things that are confirmed. But people are speculating a fifth gate because the Oversight District approved, kind of did a blanket approval with this $17 billion, you can add a fifth gate, a new theme park, and 2 additional water parks.
Oh, wow.
So those were confirmed again. Doesn't mean they'll do them.
Right.
It's just this oversight district approved potential plans for them, if that makes sense.
That'd be crazy for them if they did go forward with the 2 extra or additional water parks, like having 4.
That would be
That'd
a
be a ton.
Again, they've got more land that they know what to do with,
for sure,
so they could totally fit it.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
That'd be awesome.
I don't know. We don't know much. We have never been to, what is it, Typhoon Lagoon and
Blizzard Beach.
Blizzard Beach. We've never been. I've heard good things. Are they like full, like at capacity? Like, could they justify 2 additional?
Oh, I have no idea. I've always wanted it. We always go like kind of, I mean, it's not really off season, but off season for us because we usually go in the winter time.
Yeah, winter, fall, so it's like not the best weather to go swimming and stuff. So interesting to see what they do with this. We'd love to see a 5th gate, of course, but I think that if that is going to happen, it's not for a very long time, would be my guess. Again, I can see totally something that scale happening eventually because $17 billion buys you a lot of things. And what's up? They get $17 billion and we get 1.9?
I know.
I mean, I understand they're bigger, but like that much?
I mean, at least give us 5.
5 or 6 bill, guys. What do you think Disney will do? Would love to hear your thoughts. Send us a thing over on Instagram. We'd love to hear what you think Disney will do with that cool $17 billion. All right, and that brings us to our main segment of this week's episode, and that is Lookout Key, our first impressions.
Yes.
Okay, so if you don't know, this is the new private, I go to say private island. It's technically a private part of an island.
Yeah, but not private like Castaway Key.
Yeah, so this is the new private experience, let's say, or destination for Disney Cruise Line. They've had Castaway Key since like the late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is called Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point is the official name, but I think they're like dropping the Lighthouse Point. I don't know. They don't really refer to it as that anymore, but it's Lookout Key. This is a section of an island that actually has, listen to this, it has a town on it, a functioning city, as well as another private island for Carnival and I believe Princess, I think it's the same company, cruise lines like at the north side of the island. So this is just a little chunk of it that Disney has. It's not like completely private.
Which is so weird.
And we'll get into that later about how that kind of plays into your experience there. But yes, this is the another Disney destination port for the cruise line. A preview cruise just visited the island. It opened up as of to the public as of June 7th. And we've been watching every single video that's available on this new experience on YouTube.
And there's more to come. We know people that are going on the one that's right now.
Yeah. So yes, there was a preview cruise, I think for just, I don't know if it was just for media, but primarily media.
Yeah.
And then there's the first like normal cruise sailing.
Right.
That's visiting it for like, does that make sense? Like not intended to just kind of show it off.
Yeah. It's like the first normal cruise.
Yes.
Like that you and I would go
And they're on it right now as we
yes.
speak.
And again, I don't think they haven't gotten to Lighthouse Point yet.
Okay.
Or Castaway Key, Lighthouse Point.
You said Lighthouse Point.
Yeah, I keep thinking it's Lookout Key.
Oh, Lookout Key. Yeah. Oh gosh. Okay. I'm so confused.
But yeah, anyways.
So we'll start off this discussion by saying we have not visited the island yet, and we're just gonna highlight. We have not visited yet.
Yes.
So don't knock it until you try it. We're trying. But we do have kind of a general sense of what to expect because we've seen these people's experience.
Right.
And we're just gonna kind of tell you what our first impressions are, not a final judgment, and we'll hold back our kind of final say until we experience it for ourselves, which is going to happen later this year.
Yeah.
So that is kind of what we intended to do, was go get a general sense of what to do, what to skip, and start watching these videos so we know, because we do intend to visit this island later in 2024. Let's do this thing. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so let's go over our first impressions. Let's start with the negatives so we can end with the positives, but let's start with the cons of this island. From what we see in our seats at home, what do you not like about this experience so far?
Yeah, so I think the first thing, I don't want to sound, and again, I don't want this to be taken as we're starting off like negative Nance. Like, this is just some things we're kind of like, that was an interesting like choice.
Yeah.
The first thing I noticed though is that, you know, if you've kind of read anything about this island and kind of seen plans that Disney has drawn up, you've known that they didn't want to destroy like any reefs that were out in the ocean. They wanted to kind of, because I guess they had to do that a lot for Castaway Key, and they kind of got some flack for that.
So yes, if you've been to Castaway Key, you know that you dock pretty much right on top of the island, very close to it. Unfortunately, that means that you do have to destroy some of the local habitat in the ocean. It's called dredging, apparently. I think I'm saying that right. And they have to kind of they have to make it deep enough for the ship to fit in there. That means they're destroying a ton of stuff.
Right.
So they've avoided that. And, you know, Disney always leads with preservation and trying to just kind of blend in with the local community. and culture. So that also means you have to be accommodating to the local wildlife. And you can kind of continue as to what that looks like.
Yeah, so again, it's for a good cause, obviously. So when you're thinking about that, you're like, that's great, that's conservation. But when we first saw the kind of dock that you have to walk on, it is a long walk. And this
Yeah.
is a walk. There aren't currently, as of this podcast, there aren't any trams going up and down. Now, I did want to preface this, there are golf carts. So if you are in a wheelchair or so on and so forth, you are able to get transported to and from. So you aren't made to walk, but everybody else, you have to walk. And it is, I think it takes about 15
It's
minutes.
a half mile.
Yeah.
So it's a half-mile walk. If you're quick walkers, you can do it probably half that time. But if you're a family and you got
Right.
little ones and maybe you have grandparents with you, or just you don't want to speed walk, it's going to take 15 minutes. And that's a significant way to start walk to start your day
Mhm.
out in that Bohemian sun. That is hot. And they made it super narrow. So I don't think there's, even if they want to add plans of having trams go out there, they don't fit. It's very, very narrow.
Yeah. That's what
So
I'm saying too.
I don't think that will ever happen. So they've chosen to, again, do this to, I get it, be preserve and conservate in the name of conservation, but that's a long walk.
It's a long walk. I mean, at the end of the day, and I'm like, if you're on the cruise, you're lucky to be able to be there and go on. So it's like, in reality, is it a small problem? Of course. But it is one of those things where you're like,
Interesting choice that they didn't make it big enough to have trams. That's all I'm
yeah.
going to say.
Here's my deal. I think in a nutshell, I would say if we didn't have a little one, I'd be like, it's a long walk,
I wouldn't
whatever.
care.
But now I'm kind of like, oh gosh.
Yeah. And again, imagine people with multiple kids, like a bunch of toddlers, like that'd be rough.
Exactly. Then and another thing that I wanted to mention is, as of right now, it's not really like themed or anything.
No.
So it's just like a slab of like
Concrete.
which again is not necessarily a problem, but it's one of those things where you're kind of like, it's Disney, so you're in my mind. I'm like, you would think that they would have like little flag things up, like banners,
Sure.
like decor, like
Sure.
from the island, but not yet. That could be happening. We just don't know.
Yeah. The next thing we kind of want to talk about is the entrance and shopping area. So once you do this very, very long walk, at the end of this walk, you get onto the island itself. And to the right, you see some cabanas and stuff. We'll talk about that later. Those look beautiful. But you go to this main entrance. In the original concept, and we know how Disney is with concept art, it'll look grand. And then when you get the final thing, you're like, wow, clearly there were budget cuts. And this is the exact thing that happened here. It is a very underwhelming, just kind of flat, single-story building that just says, what is this called? Castaway Key, Lighthouse
Lookout
Key,
Key.
Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point. There's this little sign, a little security entrance, and you're plopped out into this courtyard area.
Mhm.
And it is all paved. It is this giant paved outdoor mall looking experience. Very interesting. And maybe actually
Yeah.
I'm getting too ahead of myself. You first come across the tram section.
Mhm.
So sorry, you walk to the trams. After another 10 to 15 minute tram ride,
Mhm.
takes you across the island. Then you get plopped out, into the outdoor mall looking area. This is where the shops are, the restaurants,
Yeah.
not restaurants, but the
Eating areas.
yeah, eating areas, smoothie sections and stuff. And this is all paved, very little foliage. I know this will grow eventually.
Mhm.
Another note I had was, and this is maybe just me being ignorant or whatever, but normally when Disney does projects, they'll bring in like half grown or fully grown trees because they know they need shade in these sections. They didn't do that for the island. So they're all baby trees, baby plants, all scattered throughout the island. So you can tell in like 15 years, it'll be fully grown and
Yeah.
beautiful. Right now, it looks very sparse. I'm wondering, is it a logistical problem or they just didn't really care?
No,
And
I don't think it's that they care. I just don't think they wanted to shed the expense. You know how expensive that'd be to take it to the Bahamas?
Sure, that's very expensive.
So
But
I
at the same
think-
time, I'm like, it's for a good reason.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But in their mind, they're like, these people want to go get out in the sun as it is. So
I guess,
it's
man.
fine.
That's a lot. There's like no shade. There's
Yeah.
no shade on this island.
So I wanted to backtrack a little bit because you did mention the tram. So as of right now, once you get off the ship and you do the big walk over to the main area, you do have to take a tram ride, as Caleb mentioned, for 15 minutes. You're not able just to walk to the main area on the island as you can on Castaway Key because the walk is so long. I don't know if they just have it blocked off.
No, they don't want you doing
or-
it because it's just like basically a tram highway. It's
Okay.
probably super risky. Yeah, they
Gotcha.
don't want people walking that. So yeah, it is a big tram highway. You've got to take a tram. They have a ton running. I don't think that's going to be a problem. So you have to get thousands of people over there.
Yeah, and they're large trams
They're
as well.
huge.
Yeah.
And they've got a
Which
ton.
is great. Mhm.
Yeah. So those are running all the time and they'll take you over to that main shopping and beach area and all that good stuff. So once you're over to that main area, you want to get some lunch. You have a new restaurant. Is it called, what's it called? I'm forgetting the name already.
True Barbecue.
True
True.
Barbecue. Why is it called that? It's so interesting. True True Barbecue serves the classic Castaway Key fare, like
Mhm.
the island fare. It's got burgers, it's got some barbecue, pretty standard stuff.
Yeah, there's fish and, like,
Yeah,
there's rice bowls,
it
like,
looks
there's a
like
ton of stuff.
decent food.
Yeah.
The problem is, when you're standing there at that window getting your food, there are flies swarming every window, every piece of food, every piece of fruit. It's disgusting.
Yeah, and I would encourage you to go, like, watch a YouTube video because literally as we've mentioned, we've watched a ton, and they've all
They've all
shown
mentioned
footage of
how
this.
disgusting the fly swarms are. Again, I am hoping this is an easy fix. I'm assuming it is.
I'm assuming they will,
But
yeah.
it is one of those eye roll moments of like, really? We didn't
So
think about this?
So no, the thing is they did think about this because currently, if you look at any of these videos, they have like these little propeller-looking fans that are in front of the food areas. They literally look like knives that are just like turning.
That looks dangerous.
Those are in the food areas as well as on the the picnic style tables that they have for like the seating in the food areas, just to get like the flies away. But I'm kind of like, that's not a solution. But I don't know if they thought that it was gonna work. But literally, there were swarms, complete swarms of flies like everywhere.
It's gross.
So, kind of gross.
Yeah, so hopefully they have that fixed in the next few sailings. I'm assuming they will. But if they don't, that is a major oversight. Next up and final thing for the kind of negatives are the overall lack of shade. Again, we know this is a new destination. We know the trees will grow eventually, but it is a weird kind of choice not to have a ton of shaded areas. Now, again, all the structures, of course, are shaded. They've got roofs and they've got some shade over the splash pad area for the kids. But the walking, the shopping experience, the kind of area where you're supposed to kind of hang out and stand and maybe kind of figure out where you're supposed to go next, that's all out in the open. And mind you, it gets like 90 degrees plus 60, 70% humidity. So
Right.
I don't understand why they didn't maybe have some more shade. So anyways, I know it can be done. Maybe they just don't think it'll be a problem. Let's move on to the positives. The things that we
Yeah.
think this island does very, very well. And there are a number of them. So let's go through it.
So I want to start off with just the water, and I know they didn't do anything with the water, but just
Disney shipped all the water
you
in
guys,
for the ocean.
the water is absolutely stunning. It's crystal clear, just that turquoise, beautiful blue. Like I thought Castaway Keys, like island was beautiful. This is just like breathtaking.
Yeah, it does put Castaway Key to shame. This water is crystal clear, like Caitlin mentioned,
Yeah.
and it just looks really pretty. And honestly, so Castaway Key is very shielded. So it's shielded from the ocean itself, kind of. There's like a big berm that goes out in the middle, and it kind of shields the waves and stuff. So it's usually pretty calm
Yeah.
at Castaway Key. This is like out in the open, so it gets like some pretty big swells and stuff. It makes it look even more pretty. Do you agree?
Yeah, because especially when you're walking on that main walkway, right when you get off the ship, you can tell like the waves. I don't want to say are like more obviously wavy, but like they're way more because Castaway Key is so calm
Yeah.
and just light. Like it's weird seeing like that type of, I guess like what am I thinking of?
Surf,
Surf
yeah.
coming in. And as long as there's also like giant rocks like on the sides, so, like waves are hitting. It's just really pretty. And just the beach alone, I wanted to start with that. It is ginormous. It just huge. There's seating everywhere, so there's none of the whole like you have to rush to get a seat right when you're off the cruise ship in the morning like you do at Castaway Key. There's umbrellas at almost every seat. Like that was really well planned out because now with us, so taking a little one on DCL, I was like my first concern was, oh my gosh, like what if we don't get a seat with a like umbrella over it, because that's everyone's main issue is that if you're not out there by a certain time, like that's it. Like you're just done
Out
for.
of luck. Yeah.
So being able to see like all of the different seating and the umbrellas and just actually just having your own space on the beach, like that was really great. And again, like Caleb mentioned, all you see is ocean. Like it's so pretty.
Very, very pretty. And like Caitlin mentioned, the beach is huge. It's way more beachfront than Castaway Key. Now, Castaway Key, unfairly, was hit by a couple of storms, and so that actually reduced the amount of beach they have. It's pretty crazy. It rose the water level.
Yeah.
And so it like shrunk Serenity Bay by like half. So
Mhm.
like they lost a ton of beach area. This is gigantic. There is no shortage of sand to experience here. So it is very pretty, and I love how we have a ton of room to kind of spread out. Next up, we have the cabanas, and these things look so stinking nice. And from what the looks of it, we didn't confirm this. It looks like there are more on the island, so possibly you have a higher chance of getting them. Maybe it's because they know that larger ships are going to be docking there, so maybe it'll all wash out in the end. But it looks like the price has maybe come down a little bit. We know Castaway Key, they start at like $600 or $700, right?
Depending on what beach you're on. Yeah.
Okay. And then these start, I think, at 5-ish, mid fives. So, and then additional $50 for every person over 4 people.
Yeah. But you can have way more people in them as well. Like the
They're huge.
occupancy is like 32 or
I
something
mean,
like that.
I think that's the fire, like Marshall gives, technically, yes. I don't think Disney will let you sell it up to that point, but
Yeah.
who knows? They look very, very nice. It comes with like a private beach area. You get to order food from there and drinks and what have you. It's the normal cabana experience from Castaway Cay, but on a new island. But these look just newer and nicer and larger.
Mhm.
So I would totally book one if we could.
There's a little screen where you can order like different things, and one of them is toys. You can
Oh,
have
like
someone
beach
bring you
toys?
Yeah.
That's hecka cool.
Isn't that cool?
That's smart. Next up, the bathrooms. There are much more bathrooms than there are, on this island than there are at Castaway Cay, and they look like legit real bathrooms. And you'll know what I mean when I say like real bathrooms, because Castaway Cay has the like grossest, dingiest. They went for like an island vibe, but it just comes across as like gross.
We're thinking of the Serenity Bay ones.
Yeah, I don't like them at all.
So gross.
I don't like them at all. They're gross. They're not. There's no AC.
They're like super dark.
Yes, there's no light in them. These look way nicer and like legit normal bathrooms, which I love because that's just nicer.
And one thing that I really love is they have, like little areas where you can wash the sand off your feet.
Yeah.
So those are very limited at Castaway Cay. They're like stacked like
Everywhere.
everywhere,
Yes.
which is so nice.
Every corner you can wash your feet off, and that looks amazing.
Yeah.
Because remember we had to wait in line for like 20 minutes last
Yes,
time?
the last time we were there.
Come on.
I know.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is awesome. And then finally, more activities and entertainment. There's a full-on parade on this island. Don't expect like floats and stuff. It's like a local bohemian music and stuff, and they play instruments. It's fun. They're dressed up in their local garb, and it's fun to watch. So they've got that going on. You've got kid shows and activities with the characters. You can do like what's it called when you go under the pole? Like when you're
oh my gosh.
not bingo.
No, not limbo.
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 Is it limbo?
Oh my
Right?
gosh. I think it's limbo.
Okay, if we're butchering this, we apologize. It's late and we're confused. But yeah, whatever that game is, you can do that with Mickey. And they've got, again, like a little show with the characters dance to music.
Yeah.
It looks fun for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then a ton of port adventure. So it looks like there's just more to do than Castaway Cay. And I would say barely. I'm not going to bash on Castaway Cay too much just because there are things to do over there and all that stuff. But Disney, I think overall, are going for a more relaxed, sit back experience for both their islands.
Mhm.
There's nothing really thrilling or a must get off the ship to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say I'm maybe a little underwhelmed, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but like I am waiting for them to do something kind of like Royal Caribbean with their Perfect Day at Coco Cay. I don't understand why they don't call it Key, because it's I think pronounced Key, but
It is.
anyways,
Yeah.
Perfect Day at whatever, Coco whatever. They've got like a giant water park. I'm not saying Disney has to do a water park, but it's like a signature identifying thing about their island. I think when people think of that, they go, oh, water park, huge water park out in the middle of the ocean. I would love for Disney to go that route and answer that and maybe have something that's a signature thing to do. So it's a must visit and differentiates itself from Castaway Cay. Because as of right now, we have not experienced this, but as of right now, I wouldn't care if it was going to the new one or old one because it's both the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Make it to where I really want to go to visit both, because maybe Lighthouse Point has, I'm just going to use the water park thing because that's what's in my head, but maybe Lighthouse Point has like a Disney water park.
Or a ride.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Or like a water coaster.
Mhm.
And it's like a mini Blizzard Beach out there in the ocean.
Yeah.
Or it has a stage show on the island where I'm like, oh my gosh, it's got an amphitheater where I can go see whatever, Moana or Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Something like that,
Mhm.
where I'm like, okay, I get to right now I'm like, I'll just take either one
Yeah.
because I can do the same thing on either island.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I think that's the biggest concern with a lot of people as well, is like, especially they're more expensive to have both itineraries, right? To go to both Castaway Cay and Lighthouse Point.
Yeah, so there are some itineraries that stop at both. It is more expensive to stop at
Yeah.
both. Yes.
So it's like choosing that or just choosing one. So it's just, it's up in the air. But it's one thing I did want to mention with the water slide area. They do have that on the island, but it is for the little ones.
Yeah, it's for kids only.
And one thing that is different from Castaway Cay is the one on that island is out in the water, so you have to swim to it to get to it.
On Castaway.
Yes,
Yes.
which you did last time and you loved it.
Yeah, and adults could do that. You can't do that on
Yes.
this one, though.
So on this one, the slides that they have are only for kids, and it's on the land, so you don't have to swim out to it. Which again, if you have littles, that might be nice.
Yeah.
But it's just one thing I wanted to mention.
So yeah, it's okay. It looks okay. Again, we've only seen the preview cruise. I hope this next one has a better experience. That is honestly, I think if you average out the response from people that we watched, it was like, we had a good time. It's not too different than Castaway Cay, but it was fun. So I don't know. That doesn't sound very positive.
Yeah, I think the number one thing I heard was it's extremely hot, so make sure you have stuff to like basically shade you. And I think the number
A
one
lot of
thing,
walking.
a ton of walking, yeah. So and then that's the other thing is literally almost every person said don't wear sandals, like bring
Yeah.
shoes to change
Which I'm
into.
like, it's an island,
Yeah.
guys. Come on.
So I don't know. I think the one thing that I do want to mention is we are not obviously going, oh, this is done. Like we're not a big fan of the island. Da, 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 da. This is probably like the worst time to kind of judge anything because it is the preview cruise. Nothing is ever done. Nothing is ever cemented
Very
after
true.
this first
Yeah.
cruise.
Mhm.
I'm sure a ton of things are going to change in the next month, let alone 6 months. So just stay tuned. And again, if you are going soon, look out for changes that Disney might make. They might things for the better. They might take things away that just didn't work. Hopefully they do update the fly situation because that was
Yes,
real and that was
unexcusable
disgusting.
and disgusting.
So,
So, yeah.
again, yeah, I'm excited for the island. I'm excited to see it in person. I hope there are minor things that they do tweak, but all in all, like I'm just happy it's there. So,
Yeah. Again, nice to have another option, not complaining too much.
Yeah.
It's just, when you get pumped for something, it takes very long. They announce it years
for
in
sure.
advance. You get really excited and you hope it's going to be a slam dunk. I don't know if it's that yet. We'll see for ourselves. But again, like Caitlin mentioned, if you're visiting soon, let us know how it was, how your experience was. We'd love to hear it. And hopefully you can correct my misgivings. And we'll love it. And it'll be the best thing on earth. Thank you so much for listening. You can join us or find us over on Instagram and Threads at Market House Podcast. Make sure to follow us over there for pictures from the park and exciting news and announcements. Consider leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, both a huge help to the show. We have a Patreon. If you want to join us over there. It'd be awesome. markethousepodcast.com/support. Remember to use our Getaway Today link for your future trip bookings. You can check out the episode details for that link and use code MarketHouse10 to save an additional $10 on your booking. Join us next week for another episode. It's been fun. It's been full of flies, sand, and sun.
bye.